Over the last couple of years, there has been so much of the trad wife influencers proliferating on TikTok. And so when I came across this woman, Jenny from Life Take Two, and some of the other former trad wives, it served as a good balance because many of these women are speaking out on that ex trad wife life, or what she says, a man is not a plan. Sometimes women become feminists based on their own experiences or what they watch their mothers go through. And this woman, I'm sure that when she got married and she was married for 24 years, she did not see herself making these types of videos talking about, this video is kind of like a dance video. It's only 13 seconds, but she put these captions up. These captions, all the American men trying to squeeze us back into the submissive female boxes down here at the bottom, but we can make our own money. She says, be our own best friends, buy a cat, buy our own sperms, travel with girlies, buy our own homes, sleep with ourselves. So now, because she's already lived that trad wife lifestyle, she's like, don't do this. Don't go down this route, because she has spoke extensively about what it takes to rebuild after, being dependent solely on someone who can just snatch it all away, just like that, just because they want to have an affair, they want to leave. Or in some cases, they die, they become incapacitated. You just don't know. I asked her to send me a video, one that speaks to her former life and how she got to the point where she is making these TikTok videos talking about the ex-trad wife lifestyle and, arguing against it, trying to warn the girlies against it. Because like I said, that trad wife influencer lifestyle, it is pretty. Those are some pretty young ladies. Their makeup is done. They got the cute little outfits on, and it's amazing. But why are the women that used to have that lifestyle in their 40s and 50s not saying the same thing? They don't look the same. It's just not the same. Well, this is realistic. This is realistic. So if you go to her page on YouTube, Why a Man is Not a Plan, this is her page, Life Take Two. You can find the full video. If you're on my YouTube page, I'm going to put a clip right here.
Trend right now. About a month and a half ago, I got a phone call from a French documentary film journalist, and she said that over in France right now, young girls are dropping out of college and focusing on homemaking skills and their appearance because Ballerina Farm and the tradwife movement is so popular in France that it's changing behaviors. She wanted to talk to me because she said, you are one of the most famous ex-tradwives in the world. So last week they flew out from Paris and just followed me around filming my life. So today I'm going to take you guys on a field trip, and I'm going to show you a couple of things that I shared with them. Everything about my life today is because I spent 24 years as a Mormon trad wife. So we're starting here in the master bedroom of a tiny apartment that me and my partner and our kids moved into just this summer. We had to move into this apartment because we lost the home that I've been renting since my divorce. The biggest challenge that I face as a former trad wife is just lack of ability to make money. I never had a job. I cooked, I cleaned, I took care of our kids, and I did work as my husband's personal assistant in our family businesses, but my name was not on those businesses, so I didn't get any part of that when we divorced. And I didn't have either enough experience or skills that I could put on a resume to go out into the real world and have a job. We had no assets to divide, so I left that marriage with nothing, with zero. Less than zero, because I owed attorney's fees and I immediately got plunged into debt. So it's not like we sold a home and I had $250,000 in the bank. At age 44, with 4 children dependent on me, I had nothing and no income. My first job was working in a school as an assistant to a teacher in a classroom, making $11 an hour for 4.5 hours a day. Do the math on that. At the time, I had 1 child in college, 1 child living out of state that was financially dependent on me, 2 kids at home, and I was given full custody of the kids because of reasons. My second day at my first job, my son, who was in like 5th grade, threw up at school, and so I got a call that I needed to go pick him up. I had nobody that could watch him or help take care of him, so my second day of work, I was stuck in the position that so many working moms, especially without outside support, find themselves in, of trying to provide for my family and also caretaking for the kids. Within a few months of my marriage ending, my soon-to-be ex-husband would begin the very targeted, systematic financial abuse. I would lose my car. He would cancel the lease on the condo that we were living in, that he was court ordered to keep us in. And I would find myself sleeping in a Mercedes SUV that I could not afford to make the payments on and couldn't afford to put gas in. The only way that I had food and gas money was I did a little GoFundMe that I would text to friends and family members. And that's literally how I stayed afloat. It would be 10 months from the time that my husband abandoned me until the court garnished his first paycheck to give me any type of money. The first garnishment of that first paycheck, my soon-to-be ex-husband at the time would quit his job. So I found myself after 24 years of marriage without consistent spousal maintenance, with a very small amount of child support that was paid and is still paid very erratically. No job skills, no resume, no income of my own. About 2 years ago, when I only had
This video had thousands of comments. Some were ex-wives. There was a couple of ladies pushing back that were current stay-at-home wives. And then we got this woman who is a daughter of a trad wife. She said, my mother had a college degree and was a successful teacher for 15 years before she decided to give it all up to raise us kids at home. My dad left the family after 22 years of marriage. We lived this life. While my father did pay child support and alimony on time, in total, it was half of what he was providing before. So we went from a home with 100% dad's money to 50% of that income, and my mother hadn't had a job in 15 years. She got an overnight job as a baker at a local grocery store, but it was minimum wage. So yeah, lots of ramen noodles, lots of being dropped off at random friends and families and neighbors' houses, while my mom did odd jobs to make ends meet. Sometimes she slept in her car because she was too exhausted to drive. I had to raise my sister by myself at age 12. A man is not a plan, ladies. I love my father, but he was not the best husband. He doesn't have to be abusive or a deadbeat or even a bad dad. He could just be going through a midlife crisis, and there you are having a crisis of your own. But that's the thing. This is abusive. It is abusive to just leave your children and say, good luck, here's a couple of bucks. That is abuse. But she still probably has, fond memories of her dad to where she doesn't want to attach that to him. But this is the reason why, some women become hyper focused on being independent and making sure that they can provide for themselves because of these experiences, and they don't want to live this because they saw their mother live it. They've already struggled, so they don't want to do that again. These people are responding to Zora, saying, yeah, even the most ideal dad or ex-husband is still one income split between two households. Even the most amazing man isn't a plan. And then this person says, don't know if I agree that he's a good dad if he isn't making sure that his kids have their material needs met. The kids shouldn't just be the mother's problem. And Magna Creed says, he is a bad dad. So yeah, just making it plain. If your kids are struggling and you just decided to just up and leave because you can, you're definitely a bad dad. And then we have Tanya, another daughter of a trad wife, saying, my father had an affair and got his girlfriend pregnant when I was 12. He divorced my mom, who had been a homemaker and helped him on the farm, and married his girlfriend. She also had to divorce her husband to marry my father. My mom then had to support us 4 kids with no income. My father complained to me, then 14 years old, that he had to pay $400 a month for child support to support his own kids that he helped create. $400 a month means $100 per kid. This experience made me determined to never be dependent on a man for me and my children's well-being. So when I talk about having a plan B, C, D, E, F, G, L, M, N, O, P, it's not because I detest love or I detest marriage. It's because I want women to be able to survive and thrive regardless of marital status. And because you have to take care of your kids, because many of the times ladies are the ones that are getting the kids. Amber in the Mist, who's also a subscriber of my channel, says, in the 80s and 90s in California, the LDS Church was telling us that even wanting our names on accounts was a lack of faith in God. Truly sick stuff. So this is important because so many women who have not been programmed by these cultish type of churches just don't understand why women are doing this, how they are deferring to men, how they are just completely just letting the men handle everything, or why they don't get a prenup, or why they don't why they don't protect themselves. It's because the church says if you do that, you don't trust God. It is programmed in them as children that they just like the man in the household is the God of their household. This is literally how they are programmed. So that's the reason why these women are not just going to know at 22 years old to get a prenup, because that would be a lack of faith in God, and they don't want that. They make God and religion such a high priority as children. That's the reason why programming as children is so important. And that's the reason why religion is so insidious, and it goes hand in hand with patriarchy, because it's definitely ingraining and indoctrinating and programming women as girls to defer to males as they get older. They have a male deity. The men are the ones that are running things in the church, and the men are the ones running things in the home. Weekend Nomad says, this is why I ran from organized religion. They told me I was sinning, breaking my covenant by divorcing my husband for having an affair. They want women to stick and stay. They want women to be abused financially, physically, emotionally, whatever. But the woman is supposed to sacrifice forever and ever for whatever reason, because religion and their playbook, their godly playbook says so. Melanie says, organizations should be ashamed of this. I encountered shame from my church that I failed as a woman because my husband wanted rid of me. They shunned me because my abusive husband didn't want me. I had no place to go. My parents didn't want me. He took my kids from me as well and told me he has the money to fight me, so I may as well give up. My kids used to eat on the deck because they were not allowed to take meat into the house. They had no sheets on their beds, and the babysitter's son abused my daughter. They are all grown now, but are still harmed by their father, who is still playing sick games with them. This was 100% my fault for not valuing myself enough to take care of my future, believing in the church, and staying with a man that didn't value me to help me become strong. If they undermine your efforts for self improvement, they will destroy you eventually. All the relationships that I've seen work are the ones where both partners support and plan for the strongest future, taking into account what if situations that almost always occur. Now we have Nancy. She says, so relatable. I'm 61 and did the trad wife role for 20 years from age 23 to 43. Then my husband had 2 long affairs and left me and our 3 kids. This was after I spent 2 decades with his constant travel schedule for work, and we relocated for his job every 2 years all over the country. He then decided that he was going to start his own business and said he had no income for child support. The following years were a nightmare in legal expenses, and now I'm 61 and still struggling with miserable part-time low-income jobs, even though I had a college degree before I got married. There is so much age discrimination. I continue to pay literally every day for sacrificing those years for him when I stayed out of the job market. I made sure that all my kids, including my 2 daughters, had a college education and a solid work history before they got married and had kids. I told them, don't end up like I did. Listening to women who have gone through this is so important. It's so much more important than listening to those women who are the pretty women with the pretty makeup and doing the curated content that's basically to get likes on TikTok and YouTube. Please listen to the women that have gone through this, not the influencers. This person named MSC says, this is the exact reason I'd never be a stay-at-home wife or mom. I did it early in my marriage and saw how men can be financially abusive early on. When I said I was leaving, he took everything he'd paid for, even my toothbrush. Thank God I was only 25 with an education to fall back on. I couldn't imagine doing this at 45 or even 55. And to that, Candace said, he took the toothbrush? What a petty prick. Now, there's this woman named Alicia the Cho. She's in throughout all of these comments. I've seen her name multiple times as I was reading the comments. She says, your man isn't all men. You chose someone who chose to financially abuse you. That's a matter of poor character, not gender. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's frustrating seeing women blame all men for their man they chose. She's doing this whole pick me thing throughout the comments because I believe that she's a stay-at-home wife, a trad. She continues with, in any event, women should get some type of education or skill they can fall back on just in case. That's just what every adult needs to do. But that's the thing. If you are born and raised in religion, to have a backup plan means that you don't trust God. So this woman is saying that, but that's not the realistic way to look at how these women and girls are programmed. Salida said to Alicia the Cho, her ex-man isn't all men, but admit that there are too many men like her ex all over the world. Too many scarred children and wives. Also admit that many men are great in convincing a woman to choose and love them by being kind at first, only to turn out cruel. Women should be very careful when they love and leave, when they show their true colors, but blame evil men for being deceitful or irresponsible and exploiting one's love. It's sad that this problem is too common. And the thing is, you could be going along in life, like Jenny said in her video. She was married for 24 years, and then bam, she finds out that he's having affairs and gave her STD, and then he leaves them. The person that you marry, the person you marry is not who you divorce. So you don't know that this person that you chose is just going to up and leave or have affairs or treat you bad or financially abuse you. There's no way to really vet for that. You can't vet for 24 years out. It's just not possible. So that's the reason why I can't stand these women that get on here and victim blame and say, you chose him, simply because they want to validate their own lifestyle. Like I said, Alicia the Cho is a trad wife. So she wants to make it so that her life is not, a bad example. And no one is saying that it is, but too many of these women are going through this. So it needs to be discussed and not downplayed like Alicia the Cho tried to do. Anyways, make sure you go over and watch Jenny's video. I already showed you the title, and it has a whole lot of views over there. And it really will just show an example of how you can go from living one way to have your whole life just turned upside down. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think.